Good evening. Thank you for joining us on yet another episode of Uncut. I am your host, Lisa Joahil. Today we have in studio Miss Jassica St. Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us today. I know we tried to get you some time ago, but it didn't really work out, but we're really happy that you could join us today. So we're going to be talking about discrimination in the LGBTQI community. Of course, every Saint Lucian who has been following the news have heard of the young man who committed suicide recently, and people are making their own assumptions as to what really happened. But today we want to talk to somebody in the community to get a more personalized understanding of what really goes on and how this person copes. So please don't go anywhere. We have a lot of questions for Miss Jassica St. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Uncut, and I am Lisa Joahil. Today in studio, I just introduced our guest, Miss Jassica St. Jessica, again, thank you for joining us today on another episode of Uncut. A few weeks ago, I brought on a psychotherapist, Dr. Franklin Bray, to talk about mental health in Saint Lucia. Right. We touched a little bit of bullying and discrimination and how to manage persons who are close to us, who are going through those issues. And as I explained to our viewers earlier, we had a very serious situation hit our nation. A young person took his life. It is not something that is extremely common in Saint Lucia, and it's something that when it happens, you have to stop and say, hey, what is going on? What is happening to our young people? And why is suicide what they're resorting to? So we're going to start off and talk about the LGBTQI community. I remember you told me that I has recently been added to the acronym, so please explain to our viewers what that means or what it stands for.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa, for having me. I'm always happy to be in conversation with you and discussing LGBT. As you know, this is something, the conversation surrounding LGBT is now all over Saint Lucia. Of course, what recently happened with the young member of the LGBT community committing suicide. But yes, we're hoping that, things can get better for us in Saint Lucia with the conversation being more open now, and persons are wanting to see change when it comes to the community. So I'm thankful for having me here.
Of course, I'm happy you're here.
Discussing the issues that are relating to the LGBT community. And with your question, the acronym LGBTQI. L is lesbian, B bisexual, G gay, T transgender or transsexual, I intersex, Q queer. Basically, a transgender person is someone who transitions from either male to female or female to male. Intersex is someone who, what we used to consider, but we don't use the term anymore in the community, a hermaphrodite, person born with both sexual organs. Queer, someone who probably doesn't necessarily go by any label, but they're just happy, queer, gay, bi, however you want to, however you want to put yourself. And this is basically what the acronym stands for. In Saint Lucia, we have persons who identify as queer, who identify as lesbian, who identify as bisexual, gay. However, we don't have anyone in Saint Lucia who specifically identifies as transgender or transsexual. We are aware that we do see that there are persons who probably may want to be trans, who may want to identify, but they don't know, they don't have a total understanding of it. However, the organization, we do try our best to educate our members as to what these labels mean, and probably some of them might want to know exactly where do they fall, how, and also there are persons who necessarily don't go by any labels.
Right, and there might be some who are just not really sure what they want their gender to be, because I understand that is something that is evolving now, whereas you were born male, female, medical terms in a hospital, people are now saying, I'm not a male, I'm not a female, and this is who I am.
And in Saint Lucia, again, we see with being transgender, we don't have the resources to deal with these things. We don't have the medical information, the medical supplies, the medical doctors to take care of those issues when someone comes and say, okay, well, I think my identity is not really of male or female, but I want to transition into that person who I think I really am. So you might, that person, then that's where you see a lot of persons who are going overseas to seek refugee statuses in terms of wanting to live their true self. And of course, as an organization, we support those persons. And if at any point you feel that, for example, discrimination, you've been harassed, you've been discriminated, stigmatized, and all of that, and you're in a position where you no longer can face it in country, you go out into the world where you can be fully accepted, and the organization would support you in that way. Yeah.
So, have there been instances where persons from Saint Lucia have wanted to leave or have been able to leave? Okay.
We have had many cases of persons who have gone to seek refuge overseas, and of course all of them have, I think I can say all have been successful in that way, because they're actually real and true stories of persons who are left homeless, who are discriminated in whatever way or form, be it on the job, be it at the homes, walking on the street, being violated, being beaten up, and they have to go out there to seek refuge.
So it's not just about being able to go to a medical practitioner and have the surgery. It's a lot to do with the resources and the support.
Right, because if you want to transition this in Saint Lucia, that in itself alone can psychologically affect you really bad, and then we see the cases of suicide coming in, depression coming in, and you don't have the support. First of all, the support at home is not there, and then you have to go out there in wherever, in your community, in your friends, your job, to look for that sort of comfort, and you're still not getting it there.
Because it will take time. It will take time for you to tell people, hey, please do not refer to me as he,
or please do not refer to me as Jessica, I'm John. Like,
so that's gonna take some time, and then you're gonna get teased.
And you also have to. We also have the case of pronouns as well. So if you're
so pronouns, that is not something that's in Saint Lucia at all.
Persons are not fully aware of it. However, if you're in an LGBT setting, for example, if we have a workshop, a training, in-house or wherever, we always start off by persons introducing themselves and what is their pronoun.
Your pronoun.
Because this is where your term respect comes to that person. So the person earns the respect by saying, for example, you may see me looking female, but my identity may not necessarily be female. So I may introduce myself as I'm John St. Rose, and my pronoun is he. And then you have to understand that this is who I am. But in Saint Lucia, it is sort of not the norm, and we have not. And actually, when the suicide thing happened, it really took me back a lot, and really had me thinking, where I really thought we were progressing in that light. And that suicide made me see that we are really not there yet, especially in the rural communities where persons look down on you so much. And it made me, I literally cried for like 2-3 days, thinking that all the work that we are doing, all the sensitization that we are doing, all the education that we are doing, is it really capturing those persons out there? And it just goes to show that we have so much more to do. But the conversation is opening up, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, of course. So the persons who are going through those issues, do you oftentimes find them coming to you or to the organization and saying, and that is United and Strong that you represent, and saying, hey, I have this problem and I need help? Do you find a lot of people coming out and coming directly to you, persons you would not even think would be gay or bisexual?
Yes, we do have, but however, we see a lot of persons now, a lot of the youth, a lot of young persons are coming to the organizations seeking that help. A lot of them are being homeless. They have nowhere to go, they have no money to buy no food. And you know, the organization operates on funding. And most times we have to go out there, well not most times, every time, everything that we do is solely based on funding. And we have to go out there to seek funding, to cater to the community. So we do have a lot of persons coming to the organization. Probably some might not go to, some might come to me. They might feel more comfortable coming to me. Come say, you know, I want to talk to you about something, but I don't want to go to the office because I don't want this person to know I'm that way. And so, because you see, they still have that internal fear in them. And it is because on the outside, you don't feel welcome. So, you know, they want to speak to someone who they can confide in, so they might come to me. However, if it is beyond me, I would obviously have to refer them. If I see that it is something that is really tragic and I can't handle it on my own, I have to refer them. So yes, we do see more and more, because every time I can safely say, every time I go to the office, when we have a function, we have an activity, because we do hold social activities for our community members, and the office is not just an office, the office is a safe space. We try our best to have the office in a space where persons can come and feel comfortable and feel at home. So we do have social activities, and every time I go, I see new faces.
Now, can you have those activities in the different communities? Because persons are coming to you. But what is the activism that is happening in the communities? Well, we know it is not legal in Saint Lucia, but there is, according to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it's freedom of expression. So are you hosting any activities in communities around Saint Lucia to sensitize persons, you know, just be more sensitive to bullying persons or discriminating against persons from the community, as much as it's not legal, but you know, we are humans?
Well, actually, no, we don't have specific programs in the communities where you probably have town hall meetings, or you probably have
and why is that?
Camping. What we do, we do have something called, what we call outreach. Now, during the month from November to December, leading up to World AIDS Day, we do outreach, where we go to the different communities, different night spots, different bars, different places where persons are very much engaged and frequent.
Right.
So we go out there and we do outreach. So we give out condoms, we give out information on the organization, we give out information on LGBT persons. And when we do that, we don't just talk about HIV/AIDS, we talk about everything. Because HIV/AIDS is a problem within the community. So we try to get the message out there, but at the same time talk about the LGBT community, because when we go out there, we the members are the ones doing it. So they see our faces and they know it's United and Strong doing the outreach. So this is one way of reaching out into the communities, and I think it's a very good way, because we don't only want to serve the LGBT community when we do that, but we want to serve the whole country as well, because HIV/AIDS is not, and I want to make it clear, is not a gay disease.
I was just about to ask you, Jessica, from the inception, this is what we have been taught, that HIV stemmed from homosexuals somewhere in Africa, and HIV is more prevalent among homosexuals, and there are even statistics that have been released on that, well, several years ago. So you're saying now that, you know, it's not, obviously not necessarily from the LGBTQI community that really anybody can contract HIV, but there is that perception or that understanding that it really did stem from homosexuals, and that is one of the points I know one of the ministers of government stands by and says, you know, a lot of the homosexuals, they're the reasons for this outbreak, so to speak, of HIV in Saint Lucia. We need to be careful, we need to monitor the health system. So what are your thoughts on this?
First off, I want to make it that HIV/AIDS is not a gay disease. Research, we're not in the 70s again, we're not in the 80s again, and extensive research has been done on this. And with the manifestation of all the research, we could clearly see that, yes, it is prevalent in the community, but it did not stem from the community, did not start from the community. And with the minister making that point, she's of the idea that while she believed that discrimination should not be occurring, should not be happening, however, we need to also think of the backlash when it comes to the LGBT community and HIV/AIDS. However, with her saying that, she is also using, with that statement also discriminates against the community. So with her saying that, she's
because
saying
we're saying that it comes from them.
So why she's contradicting herself. You're saying that, okay, I'm all for no discrimination. I'm all for everyone should be treated equally, rightfully equally, and everything of that sort. But at the same time, we're going to say that we have to be mindful how we change those laws, how we change those policies, because if we open up that door and remove that law, then more HIV will be coming into the country. No, because there are heterosexual persons who engage in anal sex the same way and put themselves at risk the same way. So I think she was totally wrong for making that statement. And there are also other ministers of government who are willing to sit down and have that talk and say these laws are to be reviewed.
Well, that's good. But what we're going to do now, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into this because I really want to hear what the ministers and what the government is saying about this. So please don't go anywhere. We have a whole lot more to talk about. We'll be right back.
If you haven't checked out Ram J's Auto Parts yet, what are you waiting for? We stock a wide assortment of older and newer model popular car and SUV parts. Suzuki, Toyota, Mitsubishi, Honda, Nissan, Mini Cooper, and lots more. That's not all, Ram J's also stocks truck and heavy equipment parts. And if that won't help you, we also do heavy equipment rental to keep your downtime at a minimal. Ram J's Auto Parts is located Masad Industrial Zone, Grocery. Contact us 450-0495 or 716-1400 or email ramj35@hotmail.com.
We are Studio Fit and Healthy 911. Instructor-led classes that suits all your fitness needs. One-on-one personal training to small groups of 7 or larger groups. Soca Fit, boot camp, high-intensity interval training, indoor cycling, kickboxing, yoga, Pilates, and so much more. Studio Fit and Healthy 911, located in the Vet Clinic building, Wadawaj, Groselay, where we defy limits.
Wow, this conversation just gets even better. Welcome back. You're watching Uncut, and we have in studio Miss Jassica St from United and Strong, representing the organization United and Strong, an organization that advocates heavily for equality for the LGBTQI community. So Jassica, before I interrupted you before the break, we were talking about government support and assistance. Right. So please tell us, what have been some of the challenges that you have experienced, and what are some of the positive, outcomes coming out of maybe incidences that are now opening the minds of people?
Okay. Over the years, the organization has been around for 16 years. Yes, 16 years. And we started off with under the umbrella of AIDS Action Foundation, and this is where we stemmed out, and we decided to, the founders decided to form this organization. And we're so thankful for the founders because they did the groundwork to get us where we are today. And over the years, we've been trying to, even with registering the organization was a task for us. I mean, I wasn't there at that point, but learning everything, I got to know all of that. And they found it like an LGBT organization wanted to register in Saint Lucia. That was a no-no. And they wanted us to change the name, change the idea, change the constitution, change everything to try and make it look like. So we had, when we started off, it was like sort of like a youth organization, because we had to, like, at the time, it was so taboo to talk about LGBT. So,
and it's still very illegal.
Right.
Very illegal back then, of course.
Right. So eventually we succeeded in registering the organization, all of that. And after how many years, the organization became registered in 2005 or 2003, one of them. Okay. But yeah, we had now registered. We're thankful for that. So we've been asking to meet with government, be it the present or the past, and it was always a no-no. Ministry of Health, no-no. And Ministry of Health, we found it was so important to meet with them because like I said, HIV/AIDS is an issue in the community, and with the Ministry of Health, we've seen that we could have done so much work with them, so much sensitization, so much education, so much could come out of that.
Right.
But over the years, that changed because they realized that we were really a progressive organization. And right now, the Ministry of Health comes to us for stuff.
Oh.
I can say that, and I'm proud to say that. The Ministry of Health comes to us for condoms, you know, and they work with us. Yeah, sometimes Ministry doesn't have condoms, and they come to United and Strong.
Talk to people's business there.
And, you know, and we work with, and now the ministry, we have a very good relationship with the Ministry of Health.
good.
There is not one thing that the ministry would not invite us to, one consultation that we are not invited to, and that is so good. A couple of years ago, we had, for the first time, I initiated to have a debate during Youth Month, and they welcomed the idea, and we had a debate in the South about human rights together with Youth Month, and that was a first for us. It was big. That was good. But now we're seeing that we've been asking the present government, we've been asking to have a meeting with them because, you know, we're in the era of, I think, where change.
We've been asking. And I remember we tried to have an interview and we had this conversation last year. What do you mean we've been asking? You have not been successful yet?
We haven't been successful, but I can tell you, I had a meeting with the Minister of Gender Relations, Gail Rigobert, 2 weeks ago. And this meeting happened because of what happened in the community.
Okay.
As much as Minister Rigobert has always been open with us, we meet her and she's like, yes, we could talk anytime. She's been very accommodating, but to have that formal sit down, it was a kind of imbalance. Like, yeah, we could talk, but to have the actual date and say, Minister, this is the meeting's happening, it was not that promising. But unfortunately, the suicide happened, and this when all the calls started coming in.
Okay.
And she made a point. She said something to us that there is opportunity in crisis, and I do believe that the opportunity arose when this crisis happened. It is sad that this had to happen for us to have the opportunity to speak. But oh well, we're thankful for it. And she called a few days after, and it was actually that day I got the call from my director of United and Strong. I messaged him a couple hours. I said, hey, I need to to see what is going on right now. I need to send a reminder to the Prime Minister's office ASAP to try to meet with the Prime Minister, because we've been sending emails. Yes, they respond to our emails. Yes, they're saying, yes, we're going to meet with you guys, but we're just waiting for a date, and no date after email. No. However, when the minister, and then a couple hours later, he called me and said, hey, Minister Gail called. She wants to meet with us today at 4:30. I was like, oh, really great. Okay, let's go. And one time, Prime Minister's office sent back an email saying, yes, we're willing to meet with you, but we know that you're meeting with Minister Gail. So after the meeting, we will set up a date. So you see where the opportunity came in with all of this.
Recently?
Yes, this all happened 2 weeks ago. We met with Minister Gail. And like I said,
how was that meeting?
Like I said, Minister Gail has always been welcoming, always been wanting to see progress for the community, wanting to talk more and to see policy change for us, and to engage the government together with the LGBT community. So that meeting was a very successful meeting. However, we want to meet with the Prime Minister. We want to know his stand, as he's the head of the government. Because at the end of the day, you can speak to one government minister. They might tell you, yes, they might support you personally, but as a whole government, what are you saying?
Right.
So this is why we think that it is very important to meet with the Prime Minister, so we can actually hear from him. What is your take on that?
Well, I would say, I would ask, what would be the follow-up with Dr. Gail, because she's the minister responsible, and she shout out to her for, arranging that meeting, that sit down with your team to understand really what's going on and how she can assist. But she would have been in a position to tell you what the next step is. I know you want to go to the Prime Minister. I'm not saying you should not, but I want to get a clear understanding of what her next step would be.
Well, her next step basically for us, she was saying that, because when we went to the meeting, we did not really have any statistics or documentation to bring forward to them.
Okay.
And she was saying that while she thinks that she wants to see change, but she wants us to come maybe to another meeting prepared with our documentation, because some of the things she was telling us, she was very surprised at it, like this is
So
happening.
you
or
guys
not.
have never really approached or had a sit down with the government or any
No.
cabinet meeting or anything
No.
of the sort?
No.
Okay.
So this is something that we want to do. So we want to be able to go to cabinet and present them with a whole documentation of everything.
Wow, I would have thought that was
No, but we want to do it, and this is why we've been wanting to have a sit down with the Prime Minister and say, hey, we can represent this to you on cabinet. So when cabinet has all that information, then they could say, wow, this is really a stressful problem in Saint Lucia. Persons are really being homeless. Persons are really seeking refuge or what's happening to them. So we want to be able to, so this was something that she suggested to us to do, and we think that this is the right approach, because at the end of the day, you can be passionate about something, but you don't want the back and forth, because whereas you need to come with your information, and not only, and this is something that you don't, it's not with government, even if our funders, when we go to apply for funding, we have to present factual information to get the monies, because they are not going to go send money for us and they don't know what we're doing.
So that doesn't look like it's going to take too long. Do you have a timeline on when you would be able to?
Right now we don't have a timeline. We don't, because we're waiting on the Prime Minister's office right now to get a date, and then we could see what could happen after that.
But maybe in the meantime, get your your stuff together, because as much as people say, well, I wouldn't say as much as, but this unfortunate situation happened, and it's still hot in the press, still hot on the ears of persons, and then, you know, people tend to relax a bit because it's over,
right?
And you know, maybe for want of a better, I'll say procrastinate on getting the work done on what needs to happen. So for example, the South Castries Youth and Sports Council,
right.
the PR for that council, I'm very proud of my team members. We embarked on, we tagged, not really tagged along with what was going on, but we were so concerned that persons are resorting to suicide. So we had a suicide in Forestier, community I grew up in, several weeks ago, and the council was like, you know, this is happening right in our constituency. What are we doing about it?
Right.
So we have collaborated with the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development and the South Louis Community College, alongside the students of the Central Students Council, on a project, soon the public will be hearing about it, where we want to tackle the issue of discrimination on a whole. And for us, our next step would be to really go out to the decision makers and say, hey, this is what we need you to do in each school. This is what we need you to do in each community, and we're going to hold you to it. We're going to hold you to it. So this I mentioned just to, you know, try to encourage you and your team members to not sleep, no sleep on what's going on, because this has been the topic for a very long time. A lot of countries are getting on board, and it's not really to say it's all about gay marriages or it's about burglary. It's really about respecting the rights of persons. You know, their freedom of expression, their freedom to associate in the way that they want to associate, as long as they're not being disrespectful. Like maybe somebody from the church might think it's disrespectful. We understand the moralistic side of things, but you know, if you're not offending, or it is not your intention to offend, you're not physically hurting somebody, why can't you decide, you know, how you want to be, if that's really what makes you happy?
Right.
Because
sorry for cutting you. Because I think persons think that United and Strong, with all the advocating that we do and all the activism work that we do, we're fighting for gay marriage, and we try to always say that in everything that we do. No, we're not fighting for gay marriage. We're just fighting for equal rights. We're just fighting, and I want to say it's not any special rights. Gay people deserve the same rights as any other person. Any other person, especially when it comes to protection, because a straight person can go to the police and say that I'm being abused by my partner, and the police would probably go and give a warning. But sometimes we have gay persons who have been abused, who are being attacked, and you go to the police, and the police laughs like, they themselves would probably call you a name or something.
It's not being taken seriously.
However, we have had trainings for the police sensitization trainings for the police, and this is something we're looking to bring back. You know, just to give them a refresher, especially of what's been happening, because we never know what can happen again, and we do know that persons in the community are still being discriminated and still being hurt. So we just want protection, and we just want to be able to feel like, yes, we're respected, like you said, and it's not about gay marriage, because Saint Lucians are not ready. But we see the articles online, we read the comments. 90% of the comments are against anything in relation to gays. So this is why we need more sensitization going out there, more education going out there, more campaigns going out there. So these are the approaches that we are looking at now. So we're trying to bring back the sensitization trainings, we're trying to bring back this education, these campaigns, and we're working with putting all these proposals out there to get what we need to do this, get the resources to put that out there.
Right. You touched on law enforcement because, I mean, you would think everybody needs to be treated equally. This is the crime, this is what needs to happen. But of course, heavy education and maybe some form of public awareness campaign needs to be implemented to educate not just the police, but everybody how to cope, how to manage someone who is of a different sex,
right,
or who prefers to be identified differently. And it's really all about respect and appreciating that this person is just like you and I, and we work with them, we eat in the same place, we drink, we cannot avoid. So
it's there, it's not going anywhere.
Exactly, it's not going anywhere. But you spoke of law enforcement, and there's something that has really been gnawing at me. I would love to talk about it, but I know we have to get some sponsor action. So when we come back, we'll talk a little more about it. So please stay tuned.
If you haven't checked out Ram J's Auto Parts yet, what are you waiting for? We stock a wide assortment of older and newer model popular car and SUV parts. Suzuki, Toyota, Mitsubishi, Honda, Nissan, Mini Cooper, and lots more. That's not all, Ram J's also stocks truck and heavy equipment parts. And if that won't help you, we also do heavy equipment rental to keep your downtime at a minimal. Ram J's Auto Parts is located Masad Industrial Zone, Grocery. Contact us 450-0495 or 716-1400 or email ramj35@hotmail.com.
We are Studio Fit and Healthy 911, instructor-led classes that suits all your fitness needs. One-on-one personal training to small groups of 7 or larger groups. Soca Fit, boot camp, high-intensity interval training, indoor cycling, kickboxing, yoga, Pilates, and so much more. Studio Fit and Healthy 911, located in the Vet Clinic building, Wadawaj, Groselay, where we defy limits.
So Jessica, before we went on the break, we talked a little more about law enforcement.
Right.
Now, I understand that there are rules in Saint Lucia that when I say, I want to be very careful how I word this.
Right.
Buggery is illegal in Saint Lucia.
The act of buggery, yes.
The act of buggery, which means, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because you are the expert in this conversation here. it does not matter if it's male and male.
Right.
It can be
Male and female, yes. However,
that's crazy.
However, I think persons have the mindset that burglary is only male and male. And this is something we are, as an organization, we are trying to also bring out there. Because that law discriminates against the community straight off.
Yeah, of
because
course.
it says that the community cannot engage in having them pleasured. Okay, so that law in itself, while it is there, and they continue to say that the law is not being enacted, it is not being enforced, but sitting on the books,
right,
allows persons or gives persons or makes persons feel that they have the right to hate on someone because that person loves the same
or
sex.
Or to be arrested because a police officer could be passing.
Exactly.
And I'm somewhere,
and then
through my window.
Right.
And I'm there with my husband or significant other.
And they can't come and you can get
that.
arrested. However, persons apparently see nothing wrong with male and female. But once it is the same sex, this is what sparks the outrage.
So either way, it's just illegal.
Either way, it is illegal. But I think for the public, man and man is outright wrong. So that law they don't want removed. However, that law is totally discriminates against the community.
Because you cannot tell me
because
how
you can't
I should
exactly
enjoy.
in my
Right.
private
I mean, we're
in
not
my
mutilating each other.
in my private home, wherever I am, I'm enjoying my person, we're having a good time, and it's you telling me that I can't do that, it is wrong. That in itself is outright wrong. So this is why the law needs to be removed, because it allows the public to hate, to discriminate, to feel like they can take a stone and send you see a gay person walking down the road to send behind them because they say it is against the law.
Right.
So they use the law on me. However, there is no protection for LGBT. If you go to the police and say that I was attacked, someone called me the B-U-L-L-A word, and they would say, and then what can you do? It's like you have no sort of defense for yourself.
And earlier you already say the police officer as well. Some of them would, laugh and scorn, and they would not take that issue seriously. So I understand we have a lot on this topic that needs to be discussed. Policy needs to be changed. And like you specifically mentioned earlier, it is not just about the gay marriages. It's about your right, your universal right as a person.
The human rights.
Your human right. So I think Saint Lucia needs to pay particular attention to this right now. Because, and additionally, it's not even really about getting on the bandwagon because everyone is doing it. Everybody's legalizing cannabis, so we're going to do it too. It's about your right. And if our leaders cannot see that that is someone's right, and we're going to stay behind it doesn't look right to me.
But there are some leaders right now, like I said, opportunity in crisis.
Yes.
This conversation is booming, and some leaders are saying we need to revisit these laws.
Leaders like who? Well, Dr. Gale.
Dr. Gale, Minister Belrose, the mayor of Castries has said it. These laws need to be reviewed, and I'm happy that they are the ones openly saying it, because before it was so hard to get a politician to say it because they would think, oh, if I mention this, my seat is lost. Political suicide has already happened. So now that persons are being brave enough, and we're seeing that at the end of the day, they may not necessarily support the idea, but they believe that persons deserve the rights.
Yes.
And once you believe that person and you respect
one.
that right, that in itself is a step in the right direction. And that door is open, and that is what we want. The door is slightly open, so we have a little foot in there, so we can continue lobbying for that.
So I hope the next time you come on the show, you'll be telling me, Lisa, can you believe it? We sat with the Prime Minister, and this is what's going to happen, this and this and the other, and these are our next steps. So I know we're almost all out of time, but before we leave, any word of encouragement or empowerment or anything you want to leave with our viewers on how to deal, how to manage, and refrain from bullying and discriminating against persons in the community?
For me, I speak from my heart, and I genuinely think that we need a society filled with love, and I believe that everyone
wearing the red,
yes,
one of my favorite colors,
and For me, I'm wearing the rainbow, and the rainbow represents love for me.
And which organizations?
This is the organization I work with, ILGA, the International Gay, Lesbian, Bi, Trans, Intersex Organization, so world organization, the biggest LGBT organization in the world, with over 200 organizations. United and Strong is registered with them.
Great.
And I recently sat on the world board. My tenure finished, and I'm no longer on the board. However, I'm on another, I'm representing the Caribbean, North America board.
Right. Okay.
So I believe that we need love in this world, and I believe that if everyone can find it in their heart to respect each other, we would be going a lot more places. So at the end of the day, while we still have laws which discriminate against the community, think of you being in this person's shoes. Think of you being this person who wants to be themselves, who is afraid to step out into the world because they're so like saying, oh my God, if I'm really me, if I walk down the road today with a lipstick on, I'm going to be stoned. Just imagine your fear being internalized, being so fearful to live your true self. And how would that feel? So all I'm asking is for respect and love. And remember that everyone deserves equality. Everyone has human rights. Human rights is for everyone, and just respect that. And that in the meantime, we can only hope and wait and see and believe that change is going to happen.
Very good. There you have it, Saint Lucia. We just had a talk with Ms. Jassica St from United and Strong organization right here in Saint Lucia on discrimination in Saint Lucia. Thank you so much, Jassica.
Thank you so much.
We're very happy to have you, and we look forward to having you again on the show. And this time we're going to talk about policy changes. So I will hold you to
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you for watching.